Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am praying for you, believing for today is going to be a great day. Today is what? Today is Friday. Today's Friday. It's about 4 o'clock. So hopefully you guys are wrapping up your day. If you're on the East Coast, if you're on the West Coast, you're just kind of jamming out in the middle of the day here. So thanks for jumping on. Thanks for tuning in. And today I want to talk about 5 ways to create longevity. So I've been in ministry now for quite a while, over 20 years. And one of the things that I hear often is people say, I want to be somewhere for a long time. I want to set down roots. I want to be in a place where my family can grow up. Very seldom do I hear somebody say, man, I really just want to bounce around every 3 years for the next 20 years of my life. And have my kids moving every 2-3 years. So typically people are saying, man, I want to be somewhere for a long time. And then I look at a resume, I talk to somebody and they've moved around every 2-3 years. And it's like, what happened? It's like, well, there wasn't a good fit. Pastoral change, all this kind of stuff happened. And so why is that? Why is there such a big gap between really what people want, which is longevity, consistency, that kind of thing, and people bounce around quite a bit. And I know that even for me, before being at Victory in Oklahoma, I'd been at 2 churches for 4 years, and so unfortunately, 4 years in ministry is a pretty good run. I just don't think that that's long enough. I was at Victory for 8.5 years. That was great. Still attend the church, still a part of the church, still part of what's going on there. But man, I just think when I look at people that have been at some place for a really, really long time, 15 plus years, man, the ministry that they're able to do is just powerful. So want to share 5 ways that you can help generate longevity in your teams. This is typically going to be for upper leaders. So, but youth pastor, children's pastor, feel free to listen in, and maybe this will be helpful for you as well as you're looking for longevity in your volunteers. How do you create longevity within your volunteers? If you've got constant volunteer rotation, maybe a couple of these will apply. I know for sure 1 or 2 of them will not, but hopefully you can find some principles, things like that, that'll help you kind of think differently about how you do your approach to ministry. Here we go. Number 1 is friends and family. Friends and family. You want to create an environment where people feel like there's connections going on outside of just the office hours, that people are getting together. Now, it doesn't have to be like we're best friends and we hang out every day, we hang out, every night. But man, the sense that there's people that go to lunch together, even during the office hours, during the week, you go to lunch with people that you share office hours with. That, great. It'd be great, hey, birthday parties for your kids and some of the staff coming together and they are at those birthday parties together. I even next level is, hey, Super Bowl party and people come over and watch that together, or, just different times throughout the year. Maybe there's a couple of events where you guys do things together. Even close the office for a day every year and go do something just fun as a staff, where you just go, see a movie, go do something that's just different. Okay. Number 2 is this: people have a voice. People have a voice. If you want people to stay for a long time, you need your people to feel like they have a voice. Everyone wants to feel like their opinion matters, and it's valued, and that you're not just somebody that produces, that it's not just about your production, but it's about your voice. It's about your insights, it's about your opinions. So valuing people, having opportunities for people to speak into, the longer that they're there, the more people are going to want to have an opportunity to speak into situations, speak into opportunities. One of the greatest things that I talk to churches about often is, like, you don't always have to pay someone more, but you can give them more opportunities, right? So especially if someone's making a lateral move, they're going from a church of 1,000 to a church of 1,000. A lot of times people will do that because they're given more opportunities. And one of those is their voice. So they're given a seat at the table to talk about the church, to talk about sermons. Doesn't necessarily have to be preaching, but just having a voice. They're on the creative team. They're being brought into some of those vision moments and directional things. Number 3 is this: their personal life matters. Their personal life matters. So as they grow, you're investing in them. So if a person is the same after they've been there for 5 years, it's probably not good. So you're looking for ways to invest in them. So for example, at one of the churches I worked at, I wanted to get some extra training. It was going to cost a couple $1,000s for me to do that. I went to my supervisor and my lead pastor. I told them about the opportunity. I shared the opportunity. And I asked them, I said, would you guys consider supporting me and helping me with this? And they said, sure, absolutely. We're just going to want a guarantee that you're going to stay with us for another 2 years. So they were willing to pay for it, but it wasn't like, hey, as soon as I get this training, boop, I'm out, because then I'm going to go use this training, right? So, hey, we'll help you with your master's degree, but we're going to require that you stay for an extra 2 years after you complete it, or whatever it might be, right? And if you don't, then you just got to pay it back, or at least a portion of it, that kind of thing, right? So you're investing in them. You're sending them to a conference. You're bringing in somebody like myself or somebody else to do leadership development and training. Maybe you allow them to hire a coach and they're being developed, right? And this doesn't have to just be their ministry, right? It's not just to grow their ministry, but to grow them as a husband, as a father, as just a great person in the society, right? And so you're investing in them. They're getting better. They feel like, man, I'm growing. I'm getting better. I'm getting smarter. I'm getting wiser. I am being developed at this church. They're going to want to stay. They're going to want to stay. Number 4 is compensation grows with time. Compensation grows with time. Look, we all know this, that our expenses grow. Just the cost of living increases every year, right? So just that alone should grow. So, I mean, if you have the same salary and 5 years later you have the same salary, you don't. You've actually lost money just in cost of living. So there should be some consistent growth, but also some bigger jumps, right? So, hey, let's set some goals. Let's set some benchmarks. If you reach those, you're going to get a bump in pay, those kinds of things, right? So if you want a youth pastor to stay there for 15 years, well, they probably came in as a single person, then they got married, and they have 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, and like 8 years later, their expenses have skyrocketed and their salary is still the same if you don't adjust that. Right. So if you want them to stay longer, you're going to have to continue to grow with that. Right. So continually increasing that salary, that compensation, so that they can literally stay there. They can literally afford that. Right. Or freeing up some opportunities for them to travel and speak. Right. If they've been there for 15 years, my guess is they're probably going to be able to have some opportunities to do some outside coaching, some outside speaking opportunities, things like that maybe will help them adjust it. So maybe you can't afford to increase their pay, but you could free them up. And honestly, if they've been running the ministry for that long, they probably have a lot of good systems in place that it doesn't take as much time for them to do what they used to do, right? Okay. Number 5 is upward mobility. Upward mobility. If there's opportunities for them to grow in their influence, grow in their opportunities, to grow in the voice overall, the better, right? So, for example, fresh youth pastor coming in, fresh kids pastor coming in, 21 years old, straight out of Bible college, straight out of our internship program. They're probably not getting a whole lot of opportunities to speak on a Sunday morning. 10 years later, guys 30 years old, 32, 33 years old, it might be a good time to give them a couple Sundays, give them a couple opportunities to speak, right? Give them a voice at the table. Give them opportunity to be at some board meetings. Some of those things help with some fundraising. Maybe it is a project like that. Hey, we want you to oversee this big development project. We want you to oversee some of these things, right? So they're given some upward mobility, right? Not every staff has roles that are available, right? You might have be at a church and you have 3 roles, right? You have the lead pastor, you have an associate pastor, and you or just a youth pastor, kids pastor, right? You might have some of those roles, right? And so you might have a bunch of roles to just continue to move up. But could they begin to take on some responsibilities that aren't just, hey, the delegated stuff that nobody wants, but actually influential, actually important roles that take some weight off of the lead pastor, but also elevates their voice, gives them some upward mobility that maybe your fresh out of the boat guy doesn't have. So let's go through them again. Friends and family. People want to connect outside of just the office hours. If you want longevity, you want people to stay for 10, 15, 20 years, you need to do some of these things. I suggest as much as you can, all 5 of these, right? But friends and family, they want to create meaningful moments and connections outside of the office hours. People have a voice. They want their voice to be heard. They want their voice to matter. They want to be just not just their production, but their influence, their ideas, their opinions. Number 3, their personal life matters. They're being developed, not just as a minister, but as a husband, as a wife, as a father, whatever it might be, right? They are growing. They went from no degree to a bachelor's to a master's. They're getting some certification programs, things like that. And so they're growing. Number 4 is their compensation grows, right? If they've been there for 10, 15 years, their compensation needs to continue to grow with them because their cost of living is going to increase. Plus there's their expenses. Their kids get older, more kids, things like that are going to happen. Number 5 is upper mobility, giving them more opportunities to oversee bigger projects, letting them speak, some speaking opportunities, things like that. Those are 5 ways that I believe that if you can just kind of focus in on some of those, that you can continue to increase and let people know that, hey, when you come in, here are some ways that we want to encourage you to stay. Also, what gets rewarded gets repeated, right? So reward longevity. If someone's been there for 10 years and no one notices it, or the pastor's like, hey, how long have you been here? You've been like 5 days, we want to acknowledge those, celebrate those things, and encourage it. So have a great day, guys. We'll see you next week.